Well, now we're going to have a panel, and Susan Brody will be coordinating this panel with our distinguished members from Colorado Springs and Aurora branches. I just want to say a big shout out and thank you for Susan Brody and Diane Fuchs, who are our two program coordinators who are responsible for. I have just enjoyed today so much, Susan. You're just super good. Anyway, for creating and facilitating. She didn't only create all these speakers, but look at her. She's been working away at that computer and handling everything wonderfully. So now, Susan, I'm going to turn it over to you because I know you got a great panel coming in here.
Well, we do. You know, this is our opportunity to hear from our own branches about their experiences with DEI and their progress and what kinds of things they've been attempting. And we're bringing on a couple of branches who have been fairly active. And what I'm going to do is bring them on two at a time. Two individuals are going to be reporting for each branch. If you've at all looked at the schedule or agenda for today, we're kind of in a different agenda mode. So we'll be starting here at about 11:45, and I'm thinking we'll be done closer to 12:15 as opposed to 12:10, which is what the schedule suggested. So not too far off, but I want to give our folks a little bit of time to share their current activities and what they're doing. We lost one of our panelists because her son is ill. So Candace Smith, who's a terrific diversity trainer who's been working with the Aurora branch, she's home with her son, and I hope he's doing well. I think that going back to school has been particularly difficult for some of the younger folks, and he may even, hopefully he'll get well soon. So I'm going to ask Dora and Anna Lopez from the Colorado Springs branch to come on. Thank you, guys. Glad to see you. I know that you've been here. You're in some inscrutable place, which I'm sure is a library somewhere in Colorado Springs. And let me just say a few things about you so that people know who you are and what you do for your branches, or in one case, Dora, you're not actually a member of AAUW yet, right?
Right.
So Anna is a member of AAUW. She serves as a public policy director and is on the Diversity, Inclusion, and Equity Committee in Colorado Springs. And she was asked to join the outreach effort that was toward the Latina community, which resulted in the Latina Equity Initiative in 2021. So part of what they're going to be talking about is the Latina Equity Initiative. Dora, now maybe I'm wrong. It says that you're at least connected with this equity initiative, but that in addition, you actively serve the Hispanic community by volunteering with various nonprofit organizations, which include the Pikes Peak Library, the District Board of Trustees, the Adelante Mujer Incorporated, the Equity Initiative and Foundation, the Women's Partnering, American GI Forum, Hispanic Scholarship Committee, and Sacred Heart Parish Meals of Compassion. And you've also served as the CPCD Head Start Board of Directors. So goodness sake, I don't know if I did that justice, but that's all listed, Dora, in our speaker's bio. So if anybody wants to recall more about Dora and Anna, the speaker's bios is much more full of information. So to begin with, whoever's going to start your discussion, we're interested to find out how you got started and what your goals are and what you've been doing as part of the Colorado Springs DEI program.
Okay, good morning. How are all of you doing? I'm sure that you've had an interesting morning. One of the things that AAUW has as its national goal is to engage the minority communities and increase the diversity of our membership. I know we keep talking about that our membership is getting older. It's also decreasing in the diversity. The Colorado Springs branch, of which I am a member, as Susan has said, is pleased to be able to share with you our outreach efforts to become more diverse. We have a twofold approach to this. One, we formed a DEI, meaning diversity, equity, and inclusion committee over a year ago, and it's chaired by Audrey McGuire and Nancy Holt. The aim of this committee is to educate our members on the issues impacting minority communities, and not only to educate ourselves on this, but to fill our own gaps of knowledge about communities of color. Hopefully, we will gain gain members in this process, because I think we need to be more inclusive so that we will have more viewpoints on our policies. We, as a branch, have hosted programs such as a watch party to see coded bias, and that followed up with a groups interacting and asking questions and discussions. We also have suggested books for our members to read. And currently we're planning a reading and a discussion of Toni Morrison's, and I'm not sure of my pronunciation here, Recitative, which is a short story about two women of different backgrounds. And as you read, you're not told which one is white and which one is a minority. And I guess the discussion will be about, do you have stereotypes? So I think it will be interesting. Secondly, we are working on the Latina Equity Initiative with another organization, Pikes Peak Women. This outreach to the Latina community was largely in response to the national AAUW's report, Pandemic Inequality, Latinas and the COVID-19 Experience. I encourage each one of you to read this report. It's on the national AAUW website. Just type in AAUW Latina Initiative. It shows that Latinas were very negatively impacted by the epidemic. Before the pandemic, 61% of Latinas were in the labor force. By 2020, their unemployment rate was 20%. This mainly was due to the fact that many Latinas are employed in the low-wage service organizations, which were some of the first occupations or first jobs that were hit by the pandemic restrictions. Lack of access to healthcare also caused high COVID-19 infections and deaths. One of the facts that I was most concerned and appalled at is that half of the infected pregnant women were Latinas. This is very concerning to anyone. I had a report that said about the conclusion of the report. Could you put up the first slide? Well, okay, I'm just going to read the conclusion because I think it's very important. The future of the United States is tied to the educational, health, and economic well-being of Latinas. With their relative youth coinciding with an aging labor force, Latinas can fill critical jobs that will preserve America's global competitiveness. Their growing presence will continue to change demography, fuel the economy, and swing elections. Yet much work remains to ensure the needs of Latinas are met. Latinas remain among the most vulnerable workers. They have the lowest median earnings of any demographic group. We were talking about that earlier. And they experience considerable levels of poverty. Not just they, their children. And that's, I think, a very important thing. They lack access to workforce protections and basic needs, and their educational outcomes, while improving, still lag behind their white and Black peers. And this year, COVID-19 hit Latinas especially hard, compounding existing inequalities and forcing Latinas out of their labor force. Upon reading this report, one of our members, Lindy Contor, was spurred into action. She galvanized Pikes Peak Women, a small group of influential women in Colorado Springs, into contacting AAUW members and the Latina community members to see what could be done locally to improve outcomes for Latinas. There were 35 to 40 women at the first meeting in October 2021. There were people from all parts of the community. There were women who were involved with the Chamber of Commerce. There were women who were involved with healthcare. There were women who were volunteers in the community. So there was a variety. At this committee, or at this meeting, I should say, not this committee, there was an electric atmosphere as the Latinas realized that they were being asked what they needed, not told, this is what you need. The report had opened eyes to the disparities facing the Latina community, and we wanted to know what could change the situation. There were many issues that were brought forth. I think there were about 20 things that were listed as barriers to success, but we were narrowed down to 3: education, healthcare, and economic prosperity. All the other suggestions could fit under these topics. Committees for each reform. He thought that focusing on one issue would lead to better ideas. The committees were charged with meeting and coming up with ideas to present to the whole group. The last step of that first meeting was to come up with the mission statement. And this mission statement is as follows. If we have that slide, could we put that up?
I'm sorry, Anna, we didn't get any slides from you. I don't have any slides.
Susan? No? Okay,
No.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Okay. I thought I sent them, but okay, I'll just read it.
Please
It's
do.
to leverage the power of the Colorado Springs Latina community by being one strong, unified voice to advocate breaking barriers and creating access to economic opportunity, education, and wellness. This was wordsmith, and I think it came down to really what people wanted to present. There were many ideas brought forth at the next meeting, and there has been much activity with the various groups. One of the things that I think is so exciting is the group has formed its own identity, and this group is called now the Latina Equity Foundation, with the 3 committees as subgroups, and they're moving ahead. And I think it's so exciting when you see something coming together with people with a very strong focus. One of the things, and I have my friend Dora here. Since I'm a member of the Education Committee, I thought we could share our plans. And Dora, who's very expert at this because she has done these conferences in Denver, we are suggesting to have a Latina conference in spring 2023 for 8th and 9th graders here in Colorado Springs. So Dora is going to talk a little bit more about the conference. There we go. Just turn that a little bit.
Thank you, Anna, and thank you for the nice introduction by Susan. I tell all my friends that I couldn't do the work I'm doing right now because when I was working. So one of the reasons I and my husband both have said is we are so grateful for the abundance that we've been blessed with, that we want to pay it forward to our community. And that's why I'm involved. Most of the work I do is for educational purposes, as I am a retired educator myself. As Anna said, I wasn't able to make the first two meetings that the Latina Initiative, Equity Initiative had, but when I finally was able to come, which was a third meeting, I said I was very excited and I would like to think about maybe pursuing hosting a Latina conference for middle school and high school girls, young Latinas. And everybody just kind of, oh, well, maybe we can do this. And I can bring this to the table because I've been part of a group in Denver, Adelante Mujer Inc., that has been involved with conferences since 1972. And it has just been in the last, I think, 10 to 15 years, I think, is that we've had a Latina conference after reading much of the research of what was happening in the Denver public schools and the surrounding community around the dropout rate. So thus, everyone, we talked about it at the very beginning, and we had discussion, and folks were very much on board. So if I can, Susan, can I just share my screen?
You should be able to, Dora, try it.
Okay, I think this is how we do it. Let me see. Well, let me get out of this because it doesn't, oh, I want a file. Maybe that's what it'll do. Nope. Let me get off. Let me open up what I have, and I believe it'll allow me to share. Okay, now let me, I think I should be able to do, no, I don't know if I will, but let's see. Let me get back on and see if I can do this. Share screen, OneDrive. No, I want my desktop. Oh, there it is.
There it is. There you go.
There we are.
There you
And
go.
I've put some slides together here. And one of the reasons that I wanted to let everybody know, why is it that it's important to educate our young Latinas, and what would a Latina conference do? Well, as we have used this quote many, many times in Denver. Of course, we've wordsmithed it to for our situation. But you know what? Anytime you can look at an educated mother, you will know exactly the education of the children. And Napoleon Bonaparte first said that in the 18th century, you know, that he could promise you the birth of a civilized, educated nation when you have an educated mother. Well, as we look at the research, a mother's education does make a big difference in the children of, in the life of children, of their children. And it's directly related to a child's success in school. And we all know that a mother is the first teacher of any child, and that is one of the biggest reasons. And one of the things that I found interesting in this slide was the fact that even if you have adopted children, or the mother hasn't completely completed her education until after, or completes her education after her child is born, it still has an impact on the children. And I don't know, being an educator and studying education for the many years that I did, the vocabulary of children in poverty it used to be around 5,000 words when they started kindergarten, and a child that comes from a home that has a mother that works, and even if the mother works but is with the children, and the family isn't in poverty, their vocabulary is around 30 to 40,000 words. So that gives you an idea of the importance of a mother talking to their children. And it's not to say that women in poverty don't speak to their children. It's just that their time is more limited. I don't ever want to say that a mother doesn't care about the child. They do. It's just that they don't have the same amount of time as an educated mother would. And then there are other ways that they stimulate their brain development, whether it's building puzzles, playing with Legos, whatever the case may be. And so all of these things together bring to us a highly more educated child than if you wouldn't have mothers that are educated. So we've studied that over and over and have realized that education is critical, and it is very, very critical for Latinas. Number one is as Anna said, their earning power is less than their other peers. Then there are traditional barriers that occur, and hopefully through a conference and through other ways of educating the mother and educating Latina students, by the time they become mothers, we might have that mindset would be changed. And what I mean by traditional mores that occur, traditions many times, what we found in Denver when we dug into the data of dropout students, we found that many of our Latina students were dropping out as seniors. Why? Parents sometimes said, why are you going to need all that education? You're going to stay home and be a mother. We need you to help us around the house. So that was very unfortunate, but it is still happening.
Dora, I need to kind of give you a kind of a closing time here. I wonder if these are wonderful things to find out, but I'd like to also ask if Anna could respond to how could another branch in another community throughout Colorado take the kind of the directive of what you were able to accomplish and consider something like this equity initiative that you were able to pull together. I think one of the challenges of our other branches, we're struggling to find out what can we do and how can we proceed. And I'm wondering if at this point we need to move on to the next branch who's going to share. Would you have some way of closing with some ideas? How could another city, another town, another community do what you've done?
Well, I think the first thing to do is to reach out to your minority communities, decide which one or all of them, and bring them in and ask them how you can help or what they need, and educate ourselves. We are supposedly an educated group of women. We should be able to educate ourselves about minority community. One of the things that we found when we formed our committee was that coded bias, we did not realize, or many of our members did not realize, some of the negative impacts of things that are said, the negative impacts of the stereotypes that are still out there, and how, and I'm going to say it, how white privilege allows us to do things that minority communities cannot.
I appreciate that. That is a strong comment on the initiative it might take for us to go out and begin this kind of thing. So I want to thank so much for you being available. I'm sorry you didn't have more time. We are moving in the direction of a 12:30 stop. So I'm going to ask you to stop sharing your slides, and we're going to move on to Aurora's comments. But I hope that everyone will take a chance to watch this again and perhaps contact you, Anna, as part of your and not just you, but Nancy and Audrey as your Colorado Springs DEI committee for help and suggestions about how to continue to develop their programs. This is a great example. Dora.
And I would suggest maybe some of your other branches to contact their libraries or other DEI organizations within the communities.
Got it. That's a great idea. Libraries are a great resource. and DEI organizations. Thank you so much. Okay, I'm going to ask for, bye-bye, thanks, Anna and Dora. I'm going to ask
Thank
for
you.
Jubei to come on and see how we're doing next. I see Jubei and Sue. Sue's on. Jubei, could you start your video? And you're there. Thank you. Sorry, it's taken us so long to get you. Our scheduling was a little different than we had planned, and I appreciate that you're ready to go. Let me just say a few words about Jubei so that everyone who's here on the conference knows more about who you are. Jubei is currently the DEI officer for Aurora. She works at for the state of Colorado as the fiscal grant and compliance manager. She has recently taken after 9 years as the grant manager at the Aurora Community College. Her real passion lies in the nonprofit arena, where she's the managing partner and CFO of Leading Change, which focuses on bringing about sustainable change to individuals and communities in Liberia and the United States. I think it goes without saying that Jubei is from Liberia, and she is the founder of the New Awakening Clothing Group, which provides affordable handmade clothes to serve, empower, and build communities in Liberia, West Africa, and Colorado. Jubei has a master's degree in accounting from Colorado State University and the Bachelor of Science in Business Administration from the University of Colorado at Denver. And you are active since 2015 in the Aurora branch. So I'm glad to see your slides, but I wouldn't mind if you would want to share with your, go ahead and get started. If you want to see, I don't have Jubei up here. I want to be able to see your face, Jubei.
Can you see me?
Well, I can't right now, but for some reason, maybe I just don't have my my thing on gallery view. Hold on.
I can see myself.
Yeah, now I do. Now I do. Hey, that's a technical error, user error. Thank you. Jubei, go ahead and get started. And just really quickly, Sue Ryden, we know mostly because of public policy, and she's here to support Jubei with sharing and experience. And Sue, I'm sorry I don't have any speaker's bio for you to say too much, but as the state co-director of public policy, I'm hoping most of the audience knows who you are. Okay, Jubei, you're on.
Thank you, Suzanne. I'm really super excited for this opportunity. As Susan said, I've started over at the Aurora branch as a student member, and I pretty much just do whatever my branch leader tells me to do. No, I'm kidding. But I'm really grateful for the opportunity they have given me to just serve in the capacity that really truly is means a lot for me as a person, as a woman, and as a woman of color, and just super grateful for that mentorship over the years. So just a brief, I just want to put out that I am proud to say that I am a success story of the Work Smart and Start Smart program. Thanks to Carol Tobias for inspiring me to take the training before negotiating my job salary. So I highly encourage everyone here to share that with their friends and family, just because it does work. And yeah, so I'm sorry again, Candace could not be here today. I hope we are able to do her justice of some of the great training opportunities she has been giving the Aurora branch for the past couple of months. I'm gonna go quick into the presentation because of time, but afterwards, if you wanna reach out to us and just get more information, please feel free to do that. And Sue is here. She is gonna be helping me on this journey. So the DEI committee at the Aurora branch, we have officers of 4, so that's Carol Tobias, Sue Rowling, Kennis, and myself. So today's presentation is gonna focus on 3 areas. How did we get started as a branch? What have we done, and what do we plan to do? And as you know, it's kind of challenging for DEI work because there's so many topics, and we just want to do it all, but realistically, we cannot do it all. So as a branch, we went through the National DEI Toolkit. So that just helped us lay the groundwork for us on just to align national objective with our branch objective. So we decided to conduct a survey as a way of taking inventory of where the Aurora branch is and then where we want to go as a branch. So from the survey we conducted, and the survey lasted for like 2 to 3 weeks last year. It was an online survey through SurveyMonkey. So if your branch is struggling and don't know how to start, maybe that can be a way to for you to start just by taking inventory, taking stock of where your branch is and where you want to go. So surprisingly, we had 65% response rate, which is kind of above the average for online surveys. 42 of our members, 65 members responded to the survey. So again, because of time, I'm going to go through this really quick. I apologize. I wish we can give you more information, but we want to be able to get out of here soon. So the survey we conducted shows that our branch as a whole wants to focus in 3 areas to diversify our ratio, our members' race and ethnicity and age. Majority of our members currently are white and 75% are above 70. So as a branch, we really want to focus on recruiting, intentionally recruiting members that are in their 30s, 40s, 50s. And then also, as you are aware, we operate in a community that is very diverse in terms of, Aurora has a increasing and large growing numbers of immigrants. So we want to be able to reflect the community in which we serve. So majority of our members feel comfortable talking about and having conversation with around race and ethnicity, which really did put us in a better spot because as we know, discussing those issues can be uncomfortable and just sharing from your lived experience as well. And then, so those are some information you can read. And again, we can make this available to you. So we wanted to compare this demographics results from the survey with the recent Aurora survey, Aurora census, 2020 census. As you can see on the screen, clearly we do need to do a lot of work in increasing whether our Black or African population, Asian, Latinx, or Latino population. We want to be able to diversify our membership in that capacity. So I also age from the survey shows that, as discussed, we have a huge percentage of our members are in the 70s, and we want to be able to bring in younger to mid range of members to be for them to be able to continue the work of AAUW. So this is some information of the census. So what have we done? So in addition to how we started with the survey, we've been attending meetings. As you know, knowledge is power. So we've decided as a branch to conduct trainings. But before that, other interest group within
I can't hear Jubei. Is it just me?
I think she may have lost her connection.
Can you text her?
We've definitely lost her.
I think we've lost Jubei. And so I can just pick up a little bit here until we get her back. Hopefully that we will. I just wanted to say one thing about Candace Smith, one of our new members, has been giving us wonderful, wonderful trainings. She works full-time for the Mental Health Center of Denver and does these kinds of trainings there. So she's a real professional. There's Jubei. Are you back? You're muted.
My internet went off. I am so sorry. So yeah, so as I said, Kenneth has done a great job in this area, just helping us to understand what it means to show how to examine our biases, because it's important in order for us to intentionally recruit members and retain members. We need to understand what biases do we currently have? What are those biases that we don't even know we have? So she's been helping us in that capacity, and then how this impacts our actions towards people with different identities. I'm gonna turn it over to Sue for her to talk a little bit quickly on empathy and allyship.
Thanks, Jubei. And I guess I would just like to say a couple things. One about the empathy is that I think we've really found through Candace's training, she said, this is going to take a while. Don't expect to jump right in and have results right away. So we've really been taking our time and being very intentional about learning as much as we can about these issues. I want to hark back to Juanita Mosby Tyler, who spoke to our branch, I think it's 3 years ago now, and then spoke at our Public Policy Day and gave us a lot of insights on empathy in terms of listening and learning and asking questions and just being open to what other people have to say. And I think today with Temple, it was just amazing, just thinking about the different kinds of brains and how we need empathy and we need allyship in that regard too, regardless of race, creed, color. We have different brains at work. And I think we often tend more toward the verbal because that, is what we learned in school. And I thought Temple was just amazing at the insights that she has. And I think we could use those as well. One of the things on allyship that Juanita taught us was it's more than just being tolerant of other people. You really need to be an ally. And her talks about how to be an anti-racist and what you can do are also really enlightening. And I think you can find those online. She's made some wonderful podcasts and talks as well. One of the things that the Aurora branch has done in trying to reach out is that we joined the Aurora Chamber of Commerce, and they have 2 committees that we've been getting involved in. And one of them is the Women in Business, and the other one is their diversity committee. So we feel that by allying ourselves with other groups, we don't need to reinvent the wheel. We can join with other groups to, broaden our reach. And so we've had quite a few members that have been attending those meetings. And I think at some point, not too far in the future, we will be invited to present on some of the AAUW programs for women in business, and the Smart Start and the Work Smart, and also what we're doing in the diversity area. So we're hoping that will be a fruitful engagement with that group. And with that, I don't have a whole lot more to add, but maybe if you have any questions before we wrap up, fire away.
We're just gonna go through and just finish quick. You can type in your questions. Thank you for that, Sue. And another thing, another thing that came out in our training is the importance of having a self-care plan to be able to sustain the work that we are doing as a committee, because many times we found that even as women, we give so much, but we're not able to retain all of those energy and all, just to take care of ourselves in the process. So that's important, and as a branch for us to remember as we're going on, as we embark on this journey. And then what next? So we are planning on continuing to do trainings and just educate ourselves, because in order for us to reach the communities that we want to reach, the population that we want to bring into our branch, it's important that we obtain understanding of, because there are different diverse cultures, and just how that's going to align with our branch objective, all of that, and how well we can, because if we're not able to really truly obtain some level of understanding, it's going to be hard for us to create an allyship with them, and to just create a true friendship and support, and see and meet them where they are, and bring them into the branch, as well as be able to retain them. And then again, that falls into our recruitment and retention strategies. And so next, we meet every fourth Thursday of the month. So our next meeting is going to be focused exclusively on creating like norms and guidelines around how our branch will be able to navigate some of these conversations, and ways to lean into discomfort when talking about race, power, and privilege. And we also want to be able to think strategically about ways to create inclusive experiences for recruiting people of different backgrounds, and then join and support the work of AAUW. And then from there, we're going to be able to, we will be able to create an outline on how to smartly reach out to these different groups and stuff. So that's what next for us. That's where we've been, and that's how we started to work. And if you have with that, thank you all for listening. And again, we do have these, we are more than welcome to share our survey with you and any other questions you have.
Jubei, you mentioned your meeting. When will that happen? When is your monthly meeting on that?
So the next meeting is gonna be on the 28th at 7 p.m.
May 28th?
April 28th, next week.
April 28th. Okay, thank you. Just wanted to put down a personal note there to see if I can be there. Thanks for your input, both of you. I appreciate the work you've gone into, and the way you've gone about it is very organized and very structured, and seems to have a real engine motivating it. So I appreciate the input, and hopefully any branch can use this. One of the Q&A questions was, could we get a copy of some of these slides? And what I will be doing, everyone in the audience, is contacting our speakers and getting their slides and seeing if we can make those available on our website. So you will have a chance to see again what Jubei shared and what Nikki had that we didn't see all of, and all of the different slideshows. So I appreciate your interest, and that we'd be able to do that.